My hands are down. You got me. Arrest me. Get off.
This is Ruby Franer. In 2015, when she was 33 years old, she started a YouTube channel called 8 Passengers. She uploaded a video at 6 a.m. 5 days a week.
I'm going to take you through what our routine has looked like.
5 years later, in 2020, the channel had reached 2.5 million subscribers, and the total views of her videos surpassed 1 billion. Everything was going according to plan until one day, one of her neighbors called the police and exposed the horrifying reality behind the popular 8 Passengers videos.
911, the address of your emergency.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. This kid has obviously been... He's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
The central idea of the channel was documenting the daily life of the Franer family. Ruby herself was responsible for recording, editing, and brainstorming the videos. Initially, amidst ordinary daily events, she shared some educational and motivational tips for parents and children. The followers believed they were watching a healthy and happy family and learning educational tips for better living.
The presents I gave him was, I cleaned his toilet.
You cleaned it?
By hand. I cleaned it by hand.
You did not.
I did.
Worshipping your child will be placing your child's desires over responsibility.
It didn't take long for Ruby to gain a special place among all the influencers who had become famous in cyberspace, and considering the nature of her activity, she entered a new league called Momfluencers. Consequently, the main focus of the page became tips for better parenting.
Okay, passengers, I want to do a morning routine for you. And then Julie gets up and I take her and her friend to swimming practice. I am kind of a crazy mom in that I love my kids to wear red, white, and blue. They have been wearing red, white, and blue every year since they were wearing clothes.
From here on, as the channel's popularity grew, some followers who watched the videos more obsessively noticed that the director's behavior towards her children, who were actually the extras in her videos, was excessively strict.
I sent Eve to her room this morning and I said, "You're not leaving the room until it gets clean." How many times have we done a video on this? It's like half the channel's content.
But you yelled at me.
Shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know.
If you cut one more thing in my house, I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off.
Ruby's unconventional parenting and punishment methods included various instances. For example, if the children didn't listen to her, she wouldn't allow them to watch TV or see their friends for several days. Sometimes, she forced them to do intense physical exercises.
One.
Put your hands straight out. They're in. They're not supposed to be out. Shape your hands forward. There you go.
Okay, so it means that you can't have your phone for the summer.
On occasions, Ruby decided to withhold the children's meals for trivial reasons.
I'm going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
A text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children. Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
But one of the strangest actions was when she forbade the eldest son of the family from sleeping in his bed for a long time because he had disrespected his brother. Although this strict parenting style stemmed from the Franer family's religious roots, it seems that these measures were not just for disciplining the children, but also partly for creating content. Despite the children's reluctance, she recorded all these punishments and uploaded them to her channel.
The bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
He was sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October. And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago.
That was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
It was not funny.
This situation worried some of the channel's followers so much that they started a petition on the change.org website to request an investigation from Child Protective Services into Ruby's behavior with her children. Several weeks passed and 18,000 people signed the petition. However, in the end, this campaign did not yield any significant results.
Not anybody's children but mine and Kevin's, and we are doing a really good job of listening to them, and we are actually training our children to be ready for the real world. We've been accused of not training them for the real world. Actually, we are.
In 2020, 5 years after the channel's launch, 2 important events occurred. The eldest daughter and son of the Franer family moved to another city under the pretext of going to college, and the second event was Ruby and her husband Kevin meeting a woman named Jody Hildebrandt at a counseling session. Jody was not just an ordinary marriage counselor, as evidenced by the satisfaction of her clients.
What was your experience like with Jody Hildebrandt?
Pretty negative, to say the least. She was not a very good counselor. Not at all. So I saw Jody Hildebrandt with my ex-wife. The first thing that she wanted to ask about is, before we even started talking about anything, she just goes, "Have you ever watched pornography?"
The acquaintance and friendship between these two led to the 2022 cessation of activities on the 8 Passengers channel and the launch of a new channel called Moms of Truth, focusing on parenting tips and techniques.
Hi, we are live in Mapleton, Utah, and we have Ruby here. And Ruby is a part of the original 10 women that are being trained to become mental fitness trainers.
During this period, Shari, the eldest daughter, who was living in another city, started creating content to save her siblings, but this was as ineffective as the change.org campaign. Then something happened. On August 30th, 2023, 12-year-old Russell Franer, the youngest son of the family, in a state of extreme hunger and physical weakness, escaped from the window of one of the rooms in Jody's house, which at that time was the filming location for Moms of Truth, and sought refuge with a neighbor.
Wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
911, the address of your emergency.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house, and we know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty. I'm sitting outside with him on the front patio.
Okay, cool.
And he asked us to call the police.
What's
so he's
his name?
very afraid. Well, okay, this boy has been... This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
The police and emergency services were immediately dispatched to the scene. The poor boy was suffering from malnutrition, as evidenced by his thin and frail body, but the horrifying part of the story was the wounds on his body and the duct tape wrapped around his wrists and ankles. After Russell was transferred to the hospital, it was time for the officers to go to Jody's house to find out what was really going on.
Police officers, open up! Jody? I need you to step out.
I have my turn.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the
Step
house.
out of the house. Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just going to see. You're going to be on phone?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
They come into my house.
Just have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there. I'll explain everything after. Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant, sir?
Control 12x11, can you hold the air? We're searching the house.
I can tell you what's in the house.
Okay. Just have a seat right there for me.
Let's analyze Jody's body language and facial expressions in several parts. The first subject resists and does not let the police search the house. Then, by asking if they have a warrant, she somewhat undermines the authority of the police officers. She wants to calm the situation and have control over the position. A few seconds later, her facial expression, especially her eyebrows, changed to a look of anger. Jody believes the police action is an illegal intrusion into her privacy. The third phase is sadness and distress. When she asks again about the search warrant, her eyebrows are downturned, and her facial expression and tone lean more towards sadness and innocence. This could be an emotional reaction to gain sympathy in the face of what she perceives as unfair behavior. Finally, when she says, "I'll tell you what's in the house," she tightly presses her lips together. People unconsciously perform this action when they want to remind themselves not to say something. All these facial changes in a few seconds indicate that the subject is likely experiencing severe anxiety and distress from having no control over the situation. But the important question here is, why is she so afraid? To answer this question, we need to follow the officers into the house.
Police officers, anybody home?
Looking for the other children.
Clear? Yep. Police, anybody home? Police officers! You come in, my buddy. I'm a police officer. Are you going for the union here? Hey, you okay? Is this just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name?
After inspecting various parts of the house, the police noticed a large closet in one of the rooms. In the closet sat Eve, Ruby's youngest daughter. Or rather, she was imprisoned without food or water.
It's okay if I just sit here with you. We don't have to say anything. If you don't want to. You can eat.
This little girl was probably so affected by malnutrition that her level of consciousness had decreased, making it take a while for her to recognize and open a pizza box. Or maybe she was worried about the consequences. After all, she had lived like a slave for years and hadn't even drunk water without her master's permission.
Don't want to talk? Okay. There's nothing at all you want to talk about at all? It's okay to talk to me.
In another room, a large safe caught the police's attention. The officers found several pieces of rope and handcuffs there. There's a detail in this room that can be examined more closely in this photo. If you look carefully at the corner of the picture, you see this staircase. It appears that this safe was located right behind the recording studio for Ruby and Jody's videos. As the evidence and documents suggest, during the recording of this program, one of the children was likely imprisoned in the safe.
Oh my goodness, guess what today is? It's March 11th. 2022. And on March 12th, the whole world shut down 2 years ago.
Just when Eve was being transferred to the hospital for further care, and Jody was under observation in one of the rooms, the famous influencer Ruby Franker, unaware of everything, arrived home.
Okay, yeah, there is one in there. Thank you, sir. LT.
Our first encounter with Ruby is here, sitting on the couch with her arms crossed, indifferent to the events around her. She seems very nervous and upset. Then she starts walking, head held high, without looking around, full of confidence. It seems there is no sign of fear, shame, or guilt.
Okay, just place your hand behind your back for me. Perfect.
Throughout the operation, we only see this woman break down in one scene, right after her handcuffs are put on. For a moment, she loses her confidence. It appears that at this moment, she confronts reality for the first time. But immediately she regains her composure and returns to her previous expression, looking dazed and bewildered. Looking at her face, Ruby in this situation is not sad or worried, just angry, as if she genuinely believes she has committed no crime.
And then right now I can put a finger in each of these, okay? And I'm just going to double up this so they don't tighten up on you on the way out there. You don't have anything on you that I should know about, correct? Any weapons, anything that we're going to find? Is there anything you have on you? Okay.
To maintain her composure, she doesn't speak. This is fundamentally a power play, and the police officers try various methods to break this silence, but it's almost futile. Consequently, Ruby Franca is arrested for child abuse and taken to the local police station's interrogation room.
So first, do you live down here, or? Do you want to talk to me about where you live, or how many kids you have? So we just spoke with your husband, and he said you guys have 6 kids. Are those all together? Are those all your kids?
Most of the time, we don't witness this level of emotional control from a suspect. Ruby's behavior is truly strange. This arm crossing, this fixed stare, and the lifeless face convey only one message. I am not vulnerable. I am not going to say anything or provide any information. Everything at this moment is under my control.
I can wait all day, so it's up to you if you want to talk to us about what's going on. Would you feel more comfortable talking to one of us?
Or do you want me to take a step out if you want?
The subject follows both interrogators with her eyes, not wanting to break eye contact for even a second. We usually see this behavior in innocent people who have been wrongly arrested.
Or if you feel more comfortable talking to him, I can step out.
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
Okay.
We have explained before that the police start with simple questions to break the ice, but the interesting part is the suspect's behavior. Imagine yourself in this situation, sitting in the interrogation room, accused of child abuse, and the police are questioning you. You might be able to control your anxiety with a few deep breaths, but it's not easy to stay completely silent. Most people in such situations usually start talking, but Ruby doesn't let her guard down even for a moment. It's possible her lawyer advised her not to say anything, but in any case, this level of control is truly unusual.
So yeah, this is just your chance to tell us. We're just trying to get your side of the story. So it's your chance to do that, but it's up to you. And I mean, I'm not asking any criminal questions. If you don't want to talk to us, just let us know and we'll be done.
Paying attention to her blinking and breathing, she may appear calm on the outside, but clearly she is internally tumultuous, releasing all her anxiety through her blinking and breathing.
I've already told you.
That you want a lawyer? Okay.
Now that Ruby has requested a lawyer and legally has the right not to speak without her lawyer present, let's go to Jody's interrogation room, where the situation is entirely different.
Can be expected. How long you lived here in Islands? 11 minutes?
6 years.
6 years? The same house? Wow. You married? Single?
I'm a little nervous.
You're that. You know, to be honest with you, if I was sitting over there, I'd be a little nervous too. So don't worry about it. We're just here to talk, to get your side. And right now we're just asking you just typical questions, like how long you lived here, that kind of thing.
I watched too many detective movies.
Have you?
Which one's your favorite?
Me too. You can't, honestly.
Jody is clearly scared. She doesn't even know how to defend or protect herself, unlike her colleague, who had taken control of the interrogation room. She has accepted that she has no power in this room. Therefore, she tries to establish a connection with the interrogators, hoping to reduce her anxiety a bit. Here, after a short joke, this happens for a few moments. As we can see, the subject's hands open from their clasped position, and she leans back in the chair. But this calm doesn't last long.
We just want to get to know you a little, so if you just kind of want to share a little about yourself and what brought you down here. And
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when we talk. So you guys seem nice people. Yeah. I'm not trying to hide anything. This is really...
Opening her hands here involuntarily gives off a sense of vulnerability. Jody says, "If I'm not speaking, it's because my lawyer told me not to. Otherwise, I want to cooperate." In fact, these words show that she is aware of the crime she has committed.
Yeah, who's your attorney?
Adam, the street where the town hall is.
There is an interesting contrast in the behavior of these two individuals, even in the way they sit with their arms crossed. While in Ruby's behavior, it signifies confidence and anger, in Jody's behavior, with the pressure she applies to her arms, it indicates stress and anxiety. The signal this body language change sends to the interrogators is that the subject might not continue the conversation from this point.
There's a lot of questions we have that we just maybe misunderstandings that we just need to clarify. And
I know, and I'd love to tell you if you were here, because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with what I say. You know,
Since both suspects insist on continuing the conversation only in the presence of their lawyers, the interrogations end here. In the continuation of the investigation, the police find two more of the Franer children in the home of a woman named Pam, who was an acquaintance of Ruby. The situation of these two children wasn't good either. They were cleaning Pam's house.
Pick her up, or did you just pick her up? What was going on?
Well, I'm having guests coming, and she came and did some cleaning for me.
Okay. So,
What is going on?
as of right now, I'll just need you to give your phone to your husband. Okay. And as of this moment, you're going to be detained right now, okay?
Okay.
The children were handed over to Child Protective Services, and Ruby and her colleague Jody were sent to jail without the possibility of bail, awaiting their trial.
This is a witch hunt. The devil's been after me for years. They're trying to exaggerate this. The most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. Poor Jody, they misinterpret her, they misunderstand her.
Before the trial, a diary was also found. In this diary, Ruby had noted instances of abuse for which there was no other evidence, from giving them no food and making them do hard physical labor to attempting to drown one of the boys. With this diary added to all the existing evidence, there was no other option for the defendant in court but to confess, hoping to get some leniency from the judge.
Ms. Frankie, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
Eventually, in a trial held in February 2024, Ruby and her colleague Jody were sentenced to 4 to 60 years in prison for child abuse. Given the public impact of their crime, they are likely to serve over 30 years. Kevin Franer, the father of the family and one of the members of the 8 Passengers channel, filed for divorce in November 2023 and separated from Ruby.